Who is Michael Jackson? 1958. The King of Pop was born. Michael Joseph Jackson was born in Gary, Indiana, on August 29, 1958. He was the eighth of 10 children in the Jackson family. The working-class African-American family lived in a 2-bedroom house on Jackson Street. Jackson was an American singer, songwriter, and dancer, and is regarded as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. The King of Pop is the most awarded individual music artist in history. 1964. Professional debut. Jackson made his professional debut in 1964. Michael, at the age of 5, joined the Jackson Brothers, a band formed by their father with his elder brothers Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and Marlon. Michael and Marlon performed as backup musicians playing congas and tambourine. Later in 1964, Michael began sharing lead vocals with Jermaine, and the group's name was later changed to the Jackson 5. 1966. First win. The Jackson 5 group won their first talent show at Theodore Roosevelt High School in Gary. Jermaine, Michael's brother, performed The Temptations' My Girl, and Michael performed Robert Parker's Barefooted. 1969. First television appearance. The Jackson 5 made their first television appearance in 1969 in the Miss Black America pageant, performing a cover of It's Your Thing. Rolling Stone later described the young Michael as a prodigy with overwhelming musical gifts, who quickly emerged as the main draw and lead singer. Motown Records president Berry Gordy was impressed with the group and signed them. 1979. Solo career. Jackson began his solo career while at Motown Records. Jackson's first solo effort for Epic, Off the Wall, exceeded all expectations and was the best-selling album of the year, which eventually sold more than 20 million copies. Produced by Quincy Jones, Off the Wall yielded massive international hit singles, which showcased Michael's energetic style. 1982. Best-selling album, Thriller. Jackson's sixth album, Thriller, was released in late 1982. It was the best-selling album worldwide in 1983 and became the best-selling album of all time in the US and the best-selling album of all time worldwide, selling an estimated 70 million copies. It topped the Billboard 200 chart for 37 weeks and was in the top 10 of the 200 for 80 consecutive weeks. 1983. Motown reunion. On March 25, 1983, Jackson reunited with his brothers for Motown 25, Yesterday, Today, Forever, an NBC television special. The show aired on May 16th to an estimated audience of 47 million and featured the Jacksons and other Motown stars. Jackson's solo performance of Billie Jean earned him his first Emmy Award nomination. 1984. Substance Abuse Prevention Campaign. On May 14, 1984, President Ronald Reagan gave Jackson an award recognizing his support of alcohol and drug abuse charities, and in recognition of his support for the ad councils and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's drunk driving prevention campaign. Jackson allowed the campaign to use Beat It for its public service announcements. 1984. The Victory Tour. The Victory Tour of 1984 headlined the Jacksons and showcased Jackson's new solo material to more than 2 million Americans. It was the last tour he did with his brothers. During the last concert of the Victory Tour at the Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, Jackson announced his split from the Jacksons. 1985. Helping Hand. Michael's charitable work continued with the release of We Are the World, written with Lionel Richie, which raised money for the poor in the U.S. and Africa. It earned $63 million and became one of the best-selling singles of all time, with 20 million copies sold. It won 4 Grammy Awards in 1985, including Song of the Year for Jackson and Richie as its writers. 1986. Changing appearance. Jackson's skin had been medium brown during his youth, but from the mid-1980s gradually grew paler. The change drew widespread media coverage, including speculation that he had been bleaching his skin. His dermatologist, Arnold Klein, observed earlier that Jackson had vitiligo, a condition characterized by patches of the skin losing their pigment and sensitivity to sunlight. He also identified discoid lupus erythematosus in Jackson and later diagnosed him with lupus and vitiligo. 1987. Bad. Jackson's first album in 5 years, Bad, was highly anticipated, with the industry expecting another major success. It became the first album to produce 5 U.S. #1 single, the first album to top the charts in 25 countries, and the best-selling album worldwide in 1987 and 1988. By 2012, it had sold between 30 and 45 million copies worldwide. 1988. Moonwalk Autobiography. In 1988, Jackson released his autobiography, Moonwalk, with input from Stephen Davis and Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. It sold 200,000 copies and reached the top of the New York Times bestsellers list. In the book, Jackson discussed his childhood, the Jackson 5, and the abuse from his father. He attributed his changing facial appearance to 3 plastic surgeries, puberty, weight loss, a strict vegetarian diet, a change in hairstyle, and stage lighting. 1992. Heal the World Foundation. Jackson founded the Heal the World Foundation in 1992. The charity brought underprivileged children to Jackson's ranch to use the theme park rides and sent millions of dollars around the globe to help children threatened by war, poverty, and disease. That July, Jackson published his second book, Dancing the Dream, a collection of poetry. 1993. Oprah Winfrey interview. Jackson gave a 90-minute interview with Oprah Winfrey on February 10, 1993. He spoke of his childhood abuse at the hands of his father. Michael said his father told him he had a fat nose and physically and emotionally abused him during rehearsals. He believed he had missed out on much of his childhood and said that he often cried from loneliness. He stated for the first time that he had vitiligo. 1996. Second marriage. During the tour in Sydney, Australia, Jackson married Debbie Rowe, a dermatology assistant, while she was 6 months pregnant with his first child. Michael Joseph Jackson was born on February 13, 1997. His sister Paris Michael Catherine Jackson was born a year later on April 3, 1998. Jackson and Rowe divorced in 1999, and Rowe conceded custody of the children with an $8 million settlement. 2002. Third child via surrogacy. On January 9, 2002, Jackson won his 22nd American Music Award for Artist of the Century. Later that year, an anonymous surrogate mother gave birth to his third child, Prince Michael Jackson II, who had been conceived by artificial insemination. 2006. Last public performance. On November 15th, Jackson briefly performed We Are the World at the World Music Awards in London and accepted the Diamond Award honoring the sale of over 100 million records. The event was Jackson's last public performance in his lifetime. 2009. Death of the King. On June 25, 2009, less than 3 weeks before the first This Is It show was due to begin in London, with all concerts sold out, Jackson died from cardiac arrest caused by a propofol overdose. Conrad Murray, his personal physician, had given Jackson various medications to help him sleep. Jackson was pronounced dead at 2:26 p.m. News of his death spread quickly online, causing websites to slow down and crash from user overload. 2009. Memorial. Jackson's memorial was held on July 7, 2009, at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, preceded by a private family service at Forest Lawn Memorial Park's Hall of Liberty. Over 1.6 million fans applied for tickets to the memorial. The 8,750 recipients were drawn at random, and each received 2 tickets. The memorial service was one of the most watched events in streaming history. 2009. Justice served. In August 2009, the Los Angeles County Coroner ruled that Jackson's death was a homicide. Law enforcement officials charged Murray with involuntary manslaughter on February 8, 2010. In late 2011, he was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and held without bail to await sentencing. Murray was sentenced to 4 years in prison. 2010. Posthumous sales. In the year after his death, more than 16 million of Jackson's albums sold in the US and 35 million albums sold worldwide, more than any other artist in 2009. He became the first artist to sell 1 million music downloads in a week, with 2.6 million song downloads. Jackson also became the first artist to have 4 of the top 20 best-selling albums in a single year in the US.